Scott Fox after 9. I apologize that this episode is out a little bit late. Meetings today like crazy, mainly revolving around the radio show, but all good stuff. So I'm here now. Thank you for checking into this episode. Just like yesterday, Anna is going to join me for part 2 of the pod when we talk about a few stories that aren't as serious. First, though, I want to spend a little bit of time with you, Solo Scott, talking about a number of different issues. The 3 that are on my mind today. There's a lot of things going on in the world, but the 3 things on my mind today are these. We're going to talk about Canada-U.S. relations. We're going to talk about the rioting in Los Angeles. And we're going to talk about the announcement yesterday from the Prime Minister Carney, about increasing Canada's military spending to 2% of our GDP. That's what the Americans and the rest of NATO has been calling on us to do for years now. We're finally going to do it, and it will not take long. But it will be expensive, and where is the money going to come from? We're going to tackle those 3 things. I'm going to get you as much info as I can, and then you'll be up to date on that. And then again, Anna coming up for part 2. To start things off, I want to play some audio for you that comes from CBC's show, Power and Politics. The U.S. Ambassador to Canada, Pete Hoekstra, talking about Canada and the media and the 51st state. I gotta play this because I think everybody needs to hear this. Again, this aired yesterday on the CBC's Power and Politics, U.S. Ambassador Pete Hoekstra.
But you can understand the skepticism, can't you, Ambassador, on this side of the border? Because, you know, the 51st state stuff, and I know you said that was gone away, but then the president put it out on social media. If you join, you get Golden Dome for free.
Let's get it clarified. I said it was away unless the president or Carney decided to bring it up. And coincidentally, I think you could make a credible case that as the president brought it up, maybe the Canadians were bringing it up, and maybe the media was bringing it up at the same time. It wasn't just the president of the United States with his tweet. It was 36 hours of nonstop media coverage and Canadians talking about, this is proving our sovereignty. And it's kind of like you're thumping the president in the chest for 36 hours, and you shouldn't be. But
you can understand the skepticism, can't you, Ambassador?
We're okay. But, let's wait and see what an agreement looks like. OK, there's a lot of rhetoric potentially on both sides, but let's see exactly when there's an agreement. I'll come back and we'll talk to you about it again. OK, we will both be saying, oh, man, I maybe didn't anticipate this. This actually could be pretty good for both countries.
Well, do you understand?
Because I expect what Carney is doing, and when I'm listening to Carney, okay, what I expect, I see him negotiating for the best interest of Canada.
Sure.
And when he presents a deal, to the Canadian people and to Parliament, all right, he's got to be able to make a credible case that this is good for Canada. Which is the same thing that our president has to do when he comes back to Congress and he comes back to the American people. This is a good deal for America, and this is how it's going to bring us more prosperity. Tells me that, at the end of the day, this has to be a win-win.
But you can understand the skepticism, can't you, Ambassador, on this side of the border? Because, the 51st state stuff, and I know you said that was gone away, but then the president put it out on social media. If you join, you get Golden Dome for free.
Let's get it clarified. I said it was away unless the president or Carney decided to bring it up. And coincidentally, I think you could make a credible case that as the president brought it up, maybe the Canadians were bringing it up, and maybe the media was bringing it up at the same time. It wasn't just the president of the United States with his tweet. It was 36 hours of nonstop media coverage and Canadians talking about, this is proving our sovereignty. And it's kind of like you're thumping the president in the chest for 36 hours, and you shouldn't be. But
every
like I said,
it moves markets, it moves money, like it costs.
I'm going to leave it right there. There's the U.S. ambassador saying that we all got gaslit. We got gaslit. Saying it wasn't just Donald Trump tweeting about the 51st state that got everybody all riled up. In part, it was our own media. And then we Canadians bought into it and fed the fire. Basically, what he's saying is it really wasn't that bad, or it wasn't supposed to get that bad, but it was our media that gaslit everybody into thinking that this was some threat to our sovereignty. And he can acknowledge it really wasn't. The U.S. ambassador saying in that interview, and you can see the whole thing, by the way, on YouTube. Go to the CBC News channel or the CBC Power and Politics YouTube account, and you can watch that whole interview. He basically said the U.S. has been a reliable partner for Canada. It will continue to be a reliable partner for Canada, and we are going to get a deal done that is good for everybody. I'm expecting that to get announced in the next week or so. What I really want to see happen, though, is that put an end to the tariffs and that put an end to the uncertainty. There are so many people and businesses right now that are in pause mode. Nobody really wants to do investments into their business. Nobody really wants to spend more on marketing and advertising because everybody is worried about what may or may not happen. People need a little bit of certainty, and hopefully a trade deal getting announced would give them that. I think that that's the best thing that could happen to our economy right now because it really feels like things are bad. You know, they're saying we're going to go into a recession. I believe we've been in a recession for over a year now, maybe even longer. We need some certainty here. So let's hope that a deal is getting done. I have no reason to think one isn't being negotiated. In fact, everything I'm told is the deal is done, except for a couple of details that may or may not change. They're basically agreed on how things are going to go for the new deal between Canada and the USA, and it's going to get announced next week. That was a good little segment there from the U.S. ambassador yesterday. Now let's get to the L.A. riots. It was a gong show again last night, and now, sure enough, the Marines have been deployed to Los Angeles. U.S. active military on the ground in L.A. trying to stop some of the civil unrest. I get that people are claiming this is protesting the ICE raids where they are rounding people up that shouldn't be in America and deporting them. Some people feel this is inappropriate and they are protesting by looting an Adidas store, by looting the Lululemon store, by stealing, by breaking windows. That's not a protest. That's a riot. You know, yesterday there was no shortage of cameras that caught it on video. Cars pulling up full of things like gas masks and defensive things that people can use when the riot police come at them. This isn't an organic protest. This isn't something that began online or what have you, where people have agreed we're angry and we're going to organize and we're going to go out and protest against something we don't like. This is organized, just like many of the protests that you see happening in Canada right now. They're organized and they are funded. These aren't organic protests. These are people that are being paid to rile up the crowd. You know, if you send in a couple of paid agitators into an already volatile crowd and you tell them all you got to do is throw the first brick, and once somebody throws a brick, everybody's going to start throwing bricks. That's what these people are doing. This isn't a real bona fide protest, as far as I can tell anyway. I'm sure there are bona fide protesters out there, but there's also a lot of paid agitators out there that are just trying to amp up this situation as much as possible. I think some of the people trying to ramp this up are the actual government in the state of California and in the city of Los Angeles. Yesterday, President Trump was asked about this scenario and about comments made by the California governor, Gavin Newsom.
What do you make of the fact that he says, you want a civil war on the streets of America?
No, it's just the opposite. I don't want a civil war. A civil war would happen if you left it to people like him. And I liked him. You know, I always got along with him. Never had a problem with him. But he's grossly incompetent.
Well, there we go. There it is. President Trump is saying he brought in the Marines and he brought in the National Guard specifically to make sure that it doesn't get to a civil war. Let's go back now to that news conference that President Trump was doing. He was asked an interesting question about Greta Thunberg. Greta is the angry teenager who has taken on environmental causes. She tried to join a flotilla that was going to Gaza to drop off aid supplies. Well, they did get intercepted by the Israeli Defense Forces, who brought them to Israel and then put them on planes and sent them back home because there's an embargo against Gaza right now. The president was asked about Greta. Interesting response.
Go ahead,
do you have a message for Greta Thunberg, and did she come up on your call with the Prime Minister today?
Well, she's a strange person. She's a young, angry person. I don't know if it's real anger. It's hard to believe, actually, but I saw what happened. She's certainly different. Anger management. I think she has to go to an anger management class. That's my primary recommendation for her.
I really don't care because I don't like either of them, Trump or Thunberg. No real time for either of them, but it's interesting to watch them criticize each other because there's certainly no love lost there. Now, at the heart of the LA riots is ICE. ICE is in charge of these deportations. That's headed up by Tom Homan. Tom was on Fox News last night. This guy scares me to the core. When he talks, I feel like you need to listen because he's a scary dude. Here is him talking at the height of the riots last night. Listen to this.
Well, I say leaving. Well, as a matter of fact, we got over 100 teams out today enforcing immigration law, and we're going to flood the zone. I've said for a month, sanctuary cities, you don't want us to arrest these bad guys that you just listed out. We could arrest them in the safety and security of the county jail, but they won't let us into jail. They release them into the community, which means we got to send a whole bunch of teams in the community to find this dangerous person that don't want to be found. So sanctuary cities are going to get exactly what they don't want. More officers in the communities and more officers in worksite. We can't arrest them in jail or arrest them in the community. If we can't arrest them in the community, we're going to increase worksite enforcement operation. We're going to flood the zone. And based on what LA is doing right now, we're going to continue to flood the zones. We're going to be there tonight. We're going to be there tomorrow. We're going to be there every day in the next 4 years, arresting public safety threat illegal aliens. We're not going to apologize for doing it. So we're not going anywhere, Jesse. We're going to do the job the American people voted Donald Trump in office for. We're going to make America safe again, one illegal alien criminal at a time. And this is another reason we need the big, beautiful bill passed so we can hire more ICE agents, get more technology, and help us find these people. Look, we got over 20 million illegal aliens in this country. We got less than 5,000 deportation officers. We're outnumbered. You want more criminals taken off the street? You want more efficient operations? Then they need to pass this bill and fund ICE and fund the Border Patrol to keep President Trump's promise to the American people. So I say leaving.
Wow. Holy cow. That is a statement. I guess for these agitators, the ones who are going out there in the streets of LA trying to get everybody else all fired up, there is the line in the sand. He says they're not going anywhere until some of the 20 million people are rounded up and sent back to their country. 20 million. That's half the population of Canada. That's the amount of people that are illegally in America. No wonder they need more agents. I hope everything stays peaceful. I really, really do. But with the people they've got on the ground there in LA who are apparently not afraid to assault and insult law enforcement, I have a feeling that this is going to go south. I really, really do. In fact, if you're traveling to Los Angeles anytime soon, I'm going to advise you to stay away from those protests and use the utmost caution because it is going to get to be a dangerous situation, particularly after dark. That's where I'm going to leave this particular segment on that. One more thing I want to get to before I bring in Anna. Let's talk a little bit about the announcement that came yesterday from our Prime Minister. Canada is about to prioritize the military again. Listen to this.
Today, Canada's new government is tabling what's called supplementary estimates. They include our plan to rebuild, rearm, and reinvest in the Canadian Armed Forces. The additional $9.3 billion for this fiscal year, 2025-2026, will bring Canada in line with the 2% NATO target this year, half a decade ahead of the previous government's plan. Right now, Canadian Armed Forces members are fighting forest fires to protect their fellow Canadians and communities. In fact, members from here are in Sandy Lake as we speak. They're defending our coasts and waters. They are patrolling the Arctic and supporting our allies on Russia's frontiers. Again, members from here, including the signalers stationed in Latvia. They do so in tough conditions, and too often, has to be said, they do so with inadequate equipment. They deserve better, and they will have better. Members of our armed forces will get a well-deserved salary increase, which will contribute to better recruitment and retention of personnel. We will modernize, streamline, and enhance the benefit system so that veterans and their families can get the support they need sooner and more easily. And we will invest in research to support women's veterans' health. We will importantly invest in military equipment infrastructure, and technology by procuring new aircraft, armed vehicles, drones, and ammunition, as well as new sensors to monitor the seafloor and the Arctic. We will repair and maintain existing ships, aircraft, infrastructure, and other assets that for far too long have been allowed to degrade. We'll expand the reach and capabilities of the Canadian Coast Guard and integrate them into our NATO defense capabilities. And we will invest in modern and secure technological infrastructure, including artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, quantum technologies, and our capacity in space. Our plan will include the support of key capabilities, including the Arctic over-the-horizon radar, the Joint Counter-Drone Program, joint support ships, long-range precision strike capability, increased domestic ammunition production, additional logistics utility vehicles, light utility vehicles, and armored vehicles.
That is a longer clip than I traditionally play in Scott Fox After 9, but that's one of the reasons I love doing this podcast. You probably saw a clip of that on the news last night. I don't think you saw all of that, though. And the reason I wanted to play that is because I want to say one thing to Prime Minister Carney. Bravo. Actually, two things. Bravo, and it's about time. For way too long, we have treated our military subpar. They haven't been given the respect they deserve. They haven't been given the equipment they need. They haven't been given the mandate that they should have. That's turned around. That was a very, very good speech from Prime Minister Carney. Very good. $9.3 billion this fiscal year on top of what they already get. I didn't know that we were only $10 billion away from meeting our NATO spending targets. I had no idea. We spend billions on lots of stupid stuff in this country. We were only $10 billion shy of the 2%. Why didn't we do this sooner? Prime Minister Carney deserves full praise, and this conservative right here is giving it to him, because that is long overdue. And I have a feeling that if he's being truthful and if he actually follows through with what he has said in this speech, and there is more to it, by the way, I highly encourage you to watch the whole thing. He says a lot of interesting things, like we have 4 submarines and only one of them is seaworthy right now. How did things get that bad? I'm just happy that we now have a prime minister who is going to treat our military and our veterans with respect and that is going to give them the tools that they need. Yes, this is a conservative praising a liberal prime minister who is actually a little bit conservative, I'm learning. That is the right thing to do and long overdue. And I have lots of respect for the prime minister for that announcement that he made yesterday. Full stop. Now, it is money that I don't know that we have, though. I would really like to think that if we're going to spend another $10 billion this fiscal year on the military, that $10 billion is coming from somewhere else where it's not as urgently needed. I'd love to think that we're not just going to print $10 billion and start spending it on this. I think we need to spend it on that, but I don't know that we need to print more money. We don't need to raise taxes. We simply need to make sure that we live within our means. And if the prime minister can find savings to equal this new spending, that's even better. In fact, that should be the goal, and that should be our gold standard. Really well done by the prime minister. Let's modernize our military. Let's give them everything they need to do the job that we're asking them to do. Now, there is a bit of an accounting trick happening here with the prime minister. One of the things he is going to do is he's going to bring the Coast Guard, the money we spend on our Coast Guard and protecting the Atlantic and the Pacific and a little bit of the North. He's going to include them under the armed forces so that the money we spend on the Coast Guard contributes to our hitting our 2% NATO spending target. That's not usually how it's done. The Coast Guard is supposed to be for domestic affairs, search and rescue, things like that. But frankly, I don't even think the Americans would care that we're doing that. They just wanted to see more. They wanted to know that we have got a combat-ready fighting force here in Canada and that we can actually contribute to NATO. Again, that's exactly what the prime minister said we're going to do, and I'm going to hope that he honors his word and actually follows through on that promise, because I think it's long overdue, and I was pleasantly surprised to hear that announcement yesterday from the prime minister. A little bit surprised that it didn't get a little more media coverage. Does the media not like the military? This is something that I think all Canadians can get behind, by and large, for the most part. I thought it was a great announcement. Before I bring in Anna Almeida, I just want to get to one of the questions. No commentary needed. Again, I think the Prime Minister handled this one well. I'll get to Anna coming up in less than a minute.
Hi, this is Vipal Manga from the Wall Street Journal. How does this initiative play into Canada's hopes for a new economic and defense framework with the United States?
Well, I think what it starts with is our responsibilities to Canadians, and within the context of, well, first and foremost, it's about protecting Canadians, us taking our responsibilities in the context of a United States that is providing a lower degree of collective security. Understandable, very clear, understandable. So we're stepping up. It's also understandable, quite frankly, because the threat landscape, unfortunately, for this country has increased with both the policies of some countries, with non-state and terrorist actors, but also technology and the ability to. Our advantages of geography have been reduced, I can put it that way. So first and foremost, we're doing this for us. Relatedly, we're doing it as a strong NATO partner. We're a firm believer in NATO, and we're standing shoulder to shoulder with our NATO allies. We'll continue to do so. And of course, the United States is a fundamental ally of the country. So I think it's very complementary to the process of developing that new economic and security partnership with the Americans.
And on that, I will now bring in the great Anna Almeida for part 2 of the pod. Hey, Anna, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. We had a real good chat on our radio show today about friends of yours that went out for dinner.
Yes.
On a date night. And on a date night, I feel like the date should be just you and the date.
I agree. I mean, they have kids. They don't get that opportunity very often to just sit down and enjoy a meal, just the two of them at a restaurant.
How many parents can relate to that, though? I mean, my kids are older, and they still get in the way sometimes when I want to have a date night with Diana.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Parenting comes first. So they finally managed to get out on a date, but things took a turn, and not for the best for them. So what happened, they sat down, they made eye contact with a couple across the restaurant.
This is why you keep your head down and don't look around at a restaurant in case you recognize somebody.
Well, that's just it. They saw a couple parents that their kids attend the same school as their own, my friend's kids. Anyhow, they've only exchanged pleasantries in the past, a good hello, goodbye, a wave. That's it. But that couple decided to abandon their table, walk over to my friend's table, say hello, and then invited themselves to sit down.
You're kidding. Who does that?
I know. And my friend didn't have the heart to say, no, we're on a date night. So she said, okay. And the four of them had a date.
Wow. And I'm trying to wrap my mind around this. So when you drop your kids off at school, when you pick them up from school, there's a little bit of standing around, little waves here and there, like, hey, how's it going? Oh, nice day. That's when you do small talk and you talk about the weather and the hockey game and stuff like that. You don't want to have dinner with those people, though.
No.
That's just what happens at school in the kiss and ride. You don't want to be hanging out with these people socially, but they didn't get the memo. They invited themselves to your friend's date night.
They literally abandoned the table that they were seated at to come over to say hello, and then basically sat down at the table that my friend and her husband had taken up space with. So needless to say, she ended up having a good time, but it's not the date night that they intended to have.
I would say no. I know it sounds rude. Some people are going to think this is rude. I would just tell them, hey, we're on a date, actually. We don't get a lot of date nights. It's going to be just her and I tonight. But love to get together with you guys some other time, like AKA never. But don't tell them that. We'll get together with you guys some other time. Let's make plans. But tonight is just us. And I don't have a problem telling somebody that. I
need to go out with you more and get more courage, because I would have been like her and said, okay, and then cringed. And tried to, and her husband is not as social. He's really nice, but he's more reserved. And she thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to carry this conversation now for us.
It sounds like hell.
Right? But he ended up, taking up space and carrying on conversation for himself as well. But yeah, I still would have said yes. And even if I didn't want them to sit down. How do you say no?
No, I understand. It's a tough spot to be in. I want to get your take on a couple of different things before we wrap it up. There's a lot on the go here today, and we'll start off with First off, did you watch the hockey game last night? Is Edmonton done? Are they pulling a Maple Leafs where they don't care? They looked like they didn't care.
Too soon.
They looked like they didn't care last night.
I mean, it did fall apart really quickly. And is it the Marchand effect? Scoring that first goal. They lost 6-1. That's bad.
They had to pull their goalie.
It's bad.
It's really bad.
But hey, it goes to show that it wasn't just the Leafs that had, trouble with the Panthers. So
maybe they are that good.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the scenario. You've got DoorDash, the food delivery app. They're very similar to Skip the Dishes and Uber Eats and all those other ones. But DoorDash has become the target of Canada's Competition Bureau. DoorDash's Canadian subsidiary is being sued by Canada's Competition Bureau for misleading customers with fees. The competition watchdog is accusing DoorDash of using a deceptive practice known as drip pricing for close to a decade and making almost $1 billion in the process. The Bureau says extra charges were sometimes framed as if they were taxes and led to customers paying higher prices than advertised. DoorDash says it doesn't hide fees from customers or mislead them in any way.
Right. Close to a decade and $10 billion. That's
$1 billion.
Okay.
But just from those fees.
But that's wild. They're doing quite okay. And but if you go through, it's never what it says it's going to be when you start your checkout. And then by the end, you're like, how did it just double?
Well, that's the thing. You get to the subtotal where it tells you, okay, you're getting a 2-for-1 shawarma combo for $16.99. And then we've thrown in a side of falafel for $6.99. Your bill should be $22 plus tax. But then when you go to the next screen where you pay, that's where they show you all the extra fees. There's your taxes, your delivery fee. There's a surcharge here and there. What the Competition Bureau is alleging is that DoorDash hides extra fees in that section so that people don't notice, or they just assume it's a compulsory thing and they can't get out of paying it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I have totally abandoned my transaction because of those fees, and I thought, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna drive to the location, just pick it up myself because it's not worth this. And also, when you see how long it takes to get to your place, I'm like, no, I'm not waiting an hour. Forget it.
That's another thing they're doing now. They've got some drivers doing like 3 deliveries in one pickup. Maybe that makes sense. Rather than have 3 different drivers all go to McDonald's, have one driver go to McDonald's and do 3 different drop-offs. Okay, that's fine, but I don't want to be third on the route.
No,
because my food's cold by the time it gets there.
Yeah, McDonald's fries are the best when they're hot. I want them hot.
Can I do a joke?
Yeah.
If Tinder launched snack chips, what would they be called?
Mixed bag.
Relationships. It's a dad joke. It's Father's Day on Sunday. I got to warm up.
I'm sorry. That's actually that's clever.
Tinder has launched its own line of sweet and spicy chips. They're called Relationships, and they come with a QR code that gives you a free week of premium membership on Tinder Gold. The chips are part of Tinder's broader creative strategy to engage with more Gen Z users. Gen Z seems to be the most confused generation because they don't drink alcohol. They don't have a lot of sex in particular.
They don't go to clubs.
What do they do? Really? That's how we appeal to them, is with bags of chips?
I guess so.
You can buy them off with a snack?
Well, I mean, they're trying to capitalize, and it is to get a premium package. I mean, it's not cheap sometimes. So if they get a free bag of chips, well, they pay for the chips and get a free membership for a week, that's okay. I think they'll jump on board.
Why do I know the name Sydney Sweeney? Who is this?
Okay, she's an actress. You'll know her from The White Lotus. She is in Euphoria, 2 very popular TV shows, and she's done movies, and she's beautiful.
Last week, I'd heard that she was going to start selling her bathwater, and now it's sold out already. Fans are now reselling the $8 soap for up to $2,000. The product's website crashed because of high demand when Sydney Sweeney said she was going to start selling her own filth.
I know.
Stuff that was in the tub with her.
And people loved it. It crashed. I can't wrap my mind around. Like, I wouldn't want a gift like that.
Did it really? Or do they just say that? Like when they say, oh, we crashed the site. Did you have like 3 available, 4 available? Were you just trying to create that hype, or was there actually that much demand for soap and water from her tub?
I mean, people have fetishes, so I could see that definitely happening. You know, people have sold a lot more weirder things than that, but...
That's what this is, right? It's a fetish?
It's a fetish, I would assume. I mean, would you want somebody else's dirty bathwater in a soap form? No, I can't say I will. It's not like it's going to make me look like her.
But what these people that have that fetish, do they just smell it? Do they drink it? Do they wash their own body in it?
I would think they do all of the above. Honestly.
Okay, that's gross. We're talking about a complete stranger who was in the tub.
I know, but she is a celebrity, and people idolize their celebrities, or they are very much have a fantasy when it comes to them. So this is their opportunity to get as close as possible.
How do you know it's actually her soap and bath water? Like, what's to stop Sydney there from running a tub, putting a couple bottles of water in there to fill it up and selling them?
That's the thing. You don't actually really know. I mean, really, at the end of the day, a bath full of water, it could be anybody's, but they're smart because they positioned it in a way and it sold out.
Let's go to British Columbia now. I didn't know this video was Canadian at first. I also didn't know it was new, but I have now confirmed it is new and it is Canadian. In the video, you can see an elderly gentleman just filling a teenage boy, punching him, throwing haymaker after haymaker, and some people are outraged that a senior citizen like that would beat up on an innocent little teenager.
Until
we now know the rest of the story. If you haven't seen this yet, you should totally make an effort to find it. It's on the 6Buzz account. It's on our radio station's account at Light Events Crew. That's LITE Events Crew. Here's the situation. You got a table full of teenagers, 3 girls and 1 boy. I'm going to guess they're early teens, right?
I would say like 14, yeah.
They were throwing food around the restaurant. Some piece of food hit this older gentleman's wife, who herself is an elderly woman.
Yeah, they're in their mid-70s for sure, if not older.
So the guy, we'll call him Grandpa. Grandpa gets up, goes over to the table where these teenagers are sitting, grabs the boy who was throwing food, and started filling him, Anna. He was throwing hands and connecting right in the head. Great effort from Grandpa.
I mean, he still has it, but that's a disrespect. I mean, that's disrespectful on those kids to think that they can take up space like that and ruin somebody else's experience at a restaurant and then potentially hurt a senior. You respect your elders.
I think so too, but do young people know that now? That we do need to respect our elders here?
I feel like they really don't, and I'm maybe speaking out of line, but from my personal experience, I'm not seeing the best trend.
I'm in my 40s, and I know to respect seniors. Yeah. They have lived through a lot. They've seen far more than I have. They've got a lifetime of experience. I think they deserve our respect when they prove that they deserve it.
Yes.
Let me say that a different way. There's some seniors that are real a-holes. I've just got no time for them. Yeah. Some of them that are just cranky, bitter, whatever. But for the vast majority of them, great people, and I think that they deserve our respect. I like that this guy not only got up and did something about it, he did it because this kid was disrespecting his wife. And you don't disrespect my wife around me. This is what happens, kid. Bam.
Yeah.
I think it's good. Now, another gentleman did come over and, hey, whoa, what's going on here, Grandpa? What are you doing beating up this kid? When Grandpa told him he was throwing food and he hit my wife. In my head, that's what he sounds like.
Okay.
He's throwing food and hit my wife.
Yeah, that's pretty good, though.
Little whistle between his teeth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This guy slapped the teenager and walked away. Everybody agrees the teenager deserved it.
I love the slap the very most. I mean, it's awesome that Grandpa kicked his ass because that's what he did. But to see, somebody around our age realize the situation and then slapped him, a slap is always worse than a punch. And to me, that just says it all. Like, yep, he slapped him for all of us. In support of Grandpa.
This kid had it coming. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that law enforcement did not intervene here and lay charges against Grandpa because they very well could have. The whole thing is caught on video. Yep. They didn't do it. And I think that's great. Here's a prime example of things working out the way they should. If the cops get involved, you've got a senior citizen that's going to be up on an assault charge, maybe mischief as well. That doesn't serve anybody in any way. We don't want to lock up Grandpa, but we do need to teach this little punk kid a lesson. And I'm pretty sure that he will never be that disrespectful in a Tim Hortons or any public place or to any senior ever again.
Oh my gosh, if they had my parents and my parents caught wind of that and I had to go home to that, the disrespect, your parents would feel so embarrassed.
Anna, a new viral TikTok video shows a man getting down on one knee and popping the question to his now fiance.
Aww.
Here's the problem. He did it at their friend's wedding reception. He proposed at their wedding reception.
No.
Everybody's on the dance floor and let's see here. What would it be at a wedding? Uptown Funk.
You up.
Something like that. You know, like one of those wedding songs.
Yeah.
Everybody's having a good time. The towels are waving in the air, the napkins. He gets down on one knee. Will you marry me? I like this girl because the very first thing the girl did after being proposed to there was ask the bride, did he ask you for permission before he did this? That's a considerate thing to do.
I think so. Very nice of her to do that.
The bride responded, no, he didn't.
Ugh.
But it's totally okay. Say yes.
What's she going to say? Tell him no?
Well, that's the thing.
Right? Like, give me a break. That is just ruthless. There is 100 other days throughout the year to propose to your girlfriend. This is not the right time nor place.
Oh, but it's a wedding and everybody's in love and we're feeling it.
No, you're taking the bride and groom's thunder. Now they're congratulating you and not them. This is their day, the bride and groom. The focus should be on them, not you two who just got engaged.
Yeah, I thought it was a disrespectful thing to do, especially to not get permission in advance.
Yeah, because you see that sometimes where the bride and groom get involved with the proposal. The bride will give, when she's tossing the bouquet, she'll hand it over to one particular bridesmaid or a guest, and then the partner comes in and gets down on one knee. You know, then everybody's on board. Still not the best.
I don't think so either.
Right?
How do you feel about public proposals? Like maybe your future husband is listening right now.
Hello. Hi. Don't propose to me in public like that.
Thank you. It's mortifying to me.
It is.
The thought of proposing to someone that intimate a moment with your partner.
No.
And you're surrounded by other people, even if it's family. No, thank you. This is between you and I.
Yeah, no, I could never. I get so, even the thought of that right now, Scott, I'm touching my chest because I get, stressed out about it. I would like it to be intimate. Have a video camera, though, to record it so we can look back on it.
Who does that, though? Like, I don't give I don't care about other people's proposals. I don't care about any of that stuff.
I want it for me, the video.
Just for you. You're not going to make other people watch it, though, right? It's for you and your partner.
Yeah, and then potentially like our children to look back on one day and be like, this is how, our love story really began. Oh. And my parents, gosh, because they'd want to know everything.
Sure. Parents are like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, please, son, don't show me.
Article in Fortune magazine right now that says Halloween decorations are starting to show up on sale. Lowe's and Home Depot, in particular, selling their spooky decor much earlier this year. They suggest shopping early due to potential supply chain issues caused by tariffs. Some stores are already, in June, sold out of the 12-foot skeletons.
In June and sold out of the 12-foot? That's incredible.
Anna, for years, the folks that are really into Halloween have been trying to expand Halloween season.
They're doing it.
They've already done it. Christmas season begins right after Halloween now. You almost get 2 months of Christmas season, but the folks that really like Halloween have not been successful at making this a multi-week or month affair. I don't think selling 12-foot skeletons at Home Depot in June is going to change that.
I have to agree with you. I'm not a big lover of Halloween myself, but I have friends who are obsessed with the day and leading up to it. However, I just think this is another marketing ploy for us to spend the money, and they're connecting it to tariffs to scare us to buy, when in reality...
Whoa, you're starting to sound like Scott Fox here. Yeah, they're trying to rip us off.
It's
a scam. They're scamming us.
Come on. That's like they do Christmas in July. Start Christmas shopping now. And it's like, get it, let me enjoy what I'm doing right now. Those holidays will come when they come.
You know what I want in the summertime? Where is the goddamn Bay Days at Canadian Tire?
I know.
Let's go. Canadian Tire's got the rights to it.
Yep.
Let's go, Canadian Tire.
Amen. You said it. Preach.
I want it all, though, Anna. I think back to all those years that they did Bay Days. And, girlfriend would come home from work and, oh, look at this. This vacuum cleaner's on sale.
Yeah.
It's one day only. It's a Bay Day. In my head, that's how she sounds.
Don't let her listen to that part.
I hope she doesn't hear that. Sorry, sweetie. Love you.
Yeah.
I want the same thing, but at Canadian Tire. But I want a summer edition. I want like a cheap lawnmower Monday.
Yes.
And I want like sunblock Sunday.
Oh
and
my gosh.
Wheelbarrow Wednesday and all that sort of stuff. I want a summer Bay Days at Canadian Tire.
Oh my gosh, here. How can we make this happen? I love that idea. Yeah, and now that they have the rights to the Bay, they can do this. And they have a lot of stuff to sell for a good price.
One of the things that I am fascinated by is the amount of people that have gravitated towards the weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy.
Yeah.
Wegovy is doing a big advertising campaign right now. I don't understand how a prescription drug is allowed to advertise. I mean, you can't get this unless your doctor says it's okay and it comes from a pharmacist. You just can't do it. Yet they advertise like it's a product that you should be able to get over the counter. Conversely, cannabis, full restriction, no advertising whatsoever for cannabis, even though it's perfectly legal and available over the counter.
Yeah.
It's bizarre to me. One of the new side effects that is starting to come out of Ozempic is a creepy one.
Oh, no.
If you want this one, it's in the Daily Mail today. They're calling it a disturbing side effect of those weight loss jabs. Thinning and skeletal hands are appearing in some individuals that are on Ozempic in particular. They say, well, it's not harmful. The visual change is permanent unless your weight is regained. Cosmetic treatments may help, but the issue is raising concerns among those using weight loss injections. In other words, you're going to turn into Skeletor. You're going to have the real skinny hands because for whatever reason, the weight seems to come out of there.
Yeah, that's the last place I need the weight to come off of is my hands. I need it off my legs and my shoulders and all those other things. However, with that being said, I'm happy more side effects are becoming more known so people know the risks. And I
don't think people care. Like, I think everybody's heard the side effects and they just want to lose weight. They don't even care anymore.
I'm not even going to pretend that I haven't even thought about taking Ozempic. I definitely have. I even asked my doctor who shut me down real quick.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Like
I'm not being honest with you because when you're constantly on social media, I'm also coming from TV where people discussed my weight all the time.
That's so gross, by the way.
Yeah.
Judging the look of someone on television.
The time.
Ugh.
The amount of times people would be like, whoa, TV makes you look huge. I can't tell you how, I know it's their words, but eventually it gets to you. And I was working out and stress and it was just not coming off. I'm also turning 40. Your hormones change, things like that. So I went to my doctor for something else. And while I was there, I was like, I'm going to slip it in, shut it down right away, which I appreciate. Because just because something's quick and easy doesn't mean it's right for you. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'd much rather hear about cannabis, to be honest, because the side effects are pretty good versus, Ozempic and all the other things there.
Why is that, though? I really don't understand why these drug companies, which, by the way, if you ask people, what do you think of big pharma? Mm-hmm. The vast majority are not going to have a good opinion of big pharma. Why are the rules set so that they can advertise? And when they advertise, by the way, that allows them to exude a lot of control over the media. Because if you want that big $500,000 ad buy, you're going to play the game the way we want to play it. And they do have control over the media because they do control those ad dollars. If we were to just do the right thing in this country and say, you know what? Either all drugs are allowed to advertise or no drugs are allowed to advertise. If it's prescription, I don't know why it would be advertised. Anna, there's a massive billboard. You've probably seen it because it's in your neck of the woods. 401 outside the service centers in Cambridge. Mm-hmm. Massive ads that say, ask your doctor about Ozempic.
You're right.
You get the hell out of here. Number one, that's a lot of pressure to put on doctors who are not supposed to be prescribing things that are not medically necessary.
Yep.
Now they've got all these people kicking the door down. I want to lose some weight. Give me the Ozempic. Some of them won't take no for an answer. It puts doctors in a very difficult position.
Yeah, and some practitioners are actually...
They're making money off of it.
They are, and they're phrasing it, because I know people who've done this, they're phrasing it to the patients that, you're pre-diabetic, so you might as well start now.
So, I mean, it's all very dirty.
Right?
It's very,
like
very
the
dirty.
Verbiage.
It's dishonest. They do the same thing with Viagra, or they tried to do the same thing with Viagra.
Oh.
Now there's a whole bunch of doctors online that'll give you a virtual consultation and write your prescription.
Yes.
Like, we might as well just throw out the prescription thing altogether. If people can get it anyway, what's the point? If Ozempic can advertise on mass media, I don't understand why it's still prescription.
Because I see it online as well. You're so right about that. Oh, you can't get a prescription? Come here, check this link out. And it's like, it should not be this easy to get a hold of, especially for teenagers who are so impressionable.
Right. But then you get a bona fide, legitimate business. I'll use Value Buds as an example. Value Buds, who has leased office space. They have set up a storefront. They are paying taxes in Ontario or whatever province they're in, and federal taxes. They are employing people, and they're following all the rules. Not allowed to advertise, and I don't understand why. There are so many restrictions on cannabis companies, which I think we all agree now is a fairly innocuous drug.
Honestly.
I mean, it's actually legal in this country to use it and buy it and carry it around with you. Why are they not allowed to advertise, but Ozempic and all these other companies are? It doesn't make any sense to me.
When I speak to people who have tried both, the side effects from Ozempic and other weight loss medications are much worse than anything I've ever heard or when it comes to marijuana. And the people who are, when you go in, they're trained, they know what they're talking about, they help you. And I think people just have it in their head that marijuana is just a really bad drug. It's like back in the 90s. This is your brain on drugs, and they can't let that go.
Okay, then don't sell it to old people then. If they're going to be that much of a prude,
right?
If they don't want to evolve and learn what we've learned over the last number of years since legalization, then leave them behind. But I don't understand why there's so many restrictions on these cannabis companies, but there's none on the big pharma companies that are
They're not making money. That's it. They wants to keep making the money, and they will do it at any cost, which we know, and they'll cover any bad publicity. When it comes, they don't want the competition, and we know if it was available, how well it would do. And I mean, come on. So many people, they take marijuana for different things. It's not just to get high. They treat diseases. I take it to treat my nerves. My anxiety is so bad. Like, come on. You know, I'm not going to get that from a shot in my stomach.
No.
Yeah, it'll make me feel pretty for a hot second until I have to run to the bathroom. Get out of here.
One more.
Ooh.
It's in the New York Post today. They're talking about office chair butt. They say it's a condition. Employees are being left with saggy and flabby butts from being stuck in their desks all day long. Experts suggest getting up and moving every 30 to 90 minutes to prevent muscular atrophy. Many employees are incorporating midday workouts to combat the issue. Some TikTokers are posting videos of themselves squatting while holding their office's water cooler jugs or laptops.
Wow.
If you want to get up and stretch,
Yeah.
highly recommended. Get up and stretch. Everybody understands sitting for long periods of time is not good for you. That sedentary lifestyle is not good for you. Now, if we're actually calling it office chair butt, I think we've skipped a few other contributing factors to you having a fat ass.
There's Ozempic for that.
Have you tried Ozempic? Ask your doctor.
Oh my gosh. Once you started that story, you probably heard my chair roll back, and I sat up better, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't have this. But yeah, it's important to move. You see people now having treadmills under their desk. They're doing work and walking and all that stuff. I still like to sit. I'm not going to lie. And I'll get up when I get up. Okay, my pancake gas is not from my job. It's just because I'm lazy.
Just because you're lazy. And sometimes that's it. Blaming your office chair is very, very dishonest.
Like, what do? Get a different chair? I need something that has a hole so my ass can sit through it so it's not pancaked up, you know? I don't know. It's weird.
Have you ever seen those vibrating office chairs? I feel like some people would abuse that. However, they're meant to stimulate your glutes so that they don't firm up and you don't get stiff. It's like like a constant vibration or massage.
That's different. Wow. It would be really weird to go into my boss's office and his chair is vibrating with him sitting on it. That would be a weird meeting.
You want to come over and sit down, Anna?
You know, and be like, I'm okay. You know, I got to go. It's a great meeting, though. Enjoy your chair, sir. Like, I couldn't do it.
Last one. I know I said last one before, but this one is going to be the last one. Let's talk quickly about the upcoming royal wedding. Jeff Bezos, owner, founder of Amazon. No, he's not actual royalty, but some people think of him as that way because he is one of the richest men alive. This is the guy behind Amazon. He's getting remarried. He's going to marry a woman named Lauren Sanchez, and we know that wedding is going to be in June. So if it's not this weekend, it's got to be next weekend. But either way, it'll probably be in the next 2 weeks. they've decided for the Italian version of their wedding, they're going to scale it back a little bit. Times are tough, Anna, even for the founder of Amazon.
Oh, okay.
This is going to take place in Venice, Italy.
Oh, yeah.
A source now says the couple wants to go with more of an intimate event, so they've rolled the guest list back to just 200 people.
200 is intimate? Like, what world do these people live in?
That's the thing, right? 200 people is an intimate wedding. Intimate wedding is you, your partner, and the wedding party and your parents.
Yeah,
that's an intimate wedding.
Not 200 people. Like, oh my gosh. I can't with the rich sometimes. They're just so disconnected.
They're also rolling back the budget a little bit, too, to just $13.5 million. They're expected to get married for only $13.5 million. How will they ever pull it off?
It makes me ill. Considering, what people are going through when they can't even put food on the table, and these clowns are thinking to themselves, wow, we're going to do our best and we're going to roll things back and it's only going to be $13 million. Like, shut up.
That breaks down to about $67,000 per guest.
Per guest? I mean, they're so rich already, these people going to the wedding. I mean, they're not the average Joe. And what do you get the people who have everything and can't afford to buy everything?
If you're Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez and you're inviting these 200 people to your wedding, is there even a remote possibility that they're expecting gifts? Nobody would do that, right? Nobody would buy one of the richest men in the world a wedding gift when it's his second wedding. They're not doing that.
No, but I feel like, the Kardashians are probably going to go to this wedding because I know that they're good friends. I feel as though they would gift them something. I don't think anybody would attend a wedding like that and not gift the richest people even more gifts than they already have.
You need like a theme for gifts, right? Like it's an all art wedding or it's
something.
an all something that money can't necessarily buy.
You know what I wish they would do? And if you're listening, I don't know how, but please, instead of gifts, do a donation, a registry, like donate to my favorite causes. They're, maybe they support certain causes. At least it'll make me feel a little less icky about your $13.5 million wedding, multiple weddings at best.
I mean, you're supposed to cover your plate. That's good etiquette when you go to a wedding. The gift should at least cover the cost of you being there. If the cost of you being there is $67,000 per person, are you giving them a gift worth $140K?
Legitimately. And also, what are you eating?
That's true, too.
What are you eating?
I don't know how you spend that much money on a wedding. As far as I know, though, they are paying to fly people in for their wedding. So if you're the Kim Kardashians of the world, you don't need to use your own private jet to go to Venice. They'll fly you on Jeff Bezos's private jet to the wedding.
Oh, so nice.
Either way, they're not flying commercial like the rest of us,
I know. They should. They should put all 200 guests on a commercial flight and see how the rest travel. I mean, it's just outlandish. I know you're rich and you can afford it, but doesn't mean because you can afford it, you need to.
And on that, we will say thank you for checking out this episode of the podcast, everybody. We got to roll, but there will be another new episode coming your way tomorrow. In the meantime, if you want to slide into our DMs, we're getting ready for Friday at Anna_Almeida. That's ALMEIDA. Or at Scott Fox on air. Okay, now I swear. Last thing before we go.
Okay.
Happy Portugal Day.
Obrigada.
You're actually from Portugal. You're not just of Portuguese descent. You were born there.
Yeah, I was born in the Azores in San Miguel, to be exact. Yeah, and we immigrated to Canada. So I'm proud to be here in Canada, Canadian, but I'm very proud Portuguese.
Do you miss anything about living in Portugal, or is it better here?
Well, my parents moved us here for more opportunities, which I appreciate. I don't know if I would have had the same fortunate outcome to be working alongside someone like you. But what I do miss is just the beauty, living by the ocean. I think that's why I loved living out east so much, because it's just right there. The water, the smell, it's just great. The seafood, the culture's different. But Canada, there's no other place like Canada.
As I Googled this, how do you celebrate Portugal Day?
Oh.
It says there's supposed to be cultural activities, and there might be some dancing today, maybe some wine, or a parade down Main Street. Will you be leading a parade through downtown Cambridge today, Anna?
I mean, I should. Why not? I should lead, and everybody follow me to the Portuguese bakery, the Azores Bakery, where I'll get pistache de nata, which is those Portuguese tarts you love so much.
Those things are amazing.
I should have brought them today in honor, but you can't just have one. That's the tricky thing about those pastries. Maybe I'll get some Portuguese chicken. We'll say a prayer in our Jesus room because we have one, and put on some folklore.
Jesus room.
We have a Jesus room.
You are so Portuguese. Okay, for anyone who doesn't know what that means, you have a room in your home just for praying.
Yeah, it's dedicated, the whole corner, since I've moved in, especially pushed everything into a corner. But we have the Espírito Santo, which is the Holy Spirit. It's in a flag form. We have multiple statues of Mary and Jesus, baby Jesus, the Bible, and then little cutouts of just different prayers you can just hold individually. And there's always a candle burning for the Holy Spirit, so he's never in the dark.
So do you, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, I know it's different. So when my Canadian friends come over, they're like, whoa, you weren't kidding. I was like, no, girl.
Is this in the same room that you like watch TV
Yes,
in?
yes. For me, because I moved in, it used to be just dedicated to that. So when I moved into my parents' place, I live upstairs, they live downstairs. I said, well, guys, this is my space now. They're like, well, we can't move Jesus, Anna.
Well, of course you can't move
right?
him.
You can't move Jesus. So I was only allowed to push everything to one side. So the whole space is dedicated to Jesus. Right when you walk in, it's like Jesus is looking at you. So yeah, just from the corner of your eye when you're watching TV. So it's weird to watch anything kind of sexual on TV because you look to the left, you're like, do I say my prayer? Like, I'm sorry. And then continue watching. It's an awkward thing.
You don't have like guys over there, do you?
I
with
did.
Jesus watching?
I know.
Oh,
yes,
no.
Yes. My ex was over. And so like, if he wanted to make out, or it was always weird. Because then if you looked up to the side, it's like it was right there.
Understood. Yikes.
You know, but God bless.
All right. Hey, why don't you end it off today? The sounds of Pat James and the whole truth.
Hey now.
Oh.